Ήταν εξαίρετες οι
The
παρουσιάσεις.
presentations were excellent. All the speakers were excellent. The central question for me, as a member of the audience, has to do with the fact that we've heard so many things about processes. We in here, do we have any chance to influence those processes? Because if there is no way to have an influence on them, we are only here because we are curious to listen to you. And we thank you for that. But when we hear those processes, what can we do as members of the audience if we cannot intervene? And this is a question to all speakers.
Σας ευχαριστούμε πάρα πολύ για την ερώτηση, έχει πολύ ενδιαφέρον.
Thank you very much for your question. It was very interesting. I want to add an extra question, even if we participate in those technologies, because there is this question whether middle classes will have access to cutting-edge technologies. Now, as for influence, I don't know how much influence we can have here as people. Governments can have influence unless we manage to exploit, quote unquote, such conferences so that humanities can promote a philosophy and contribute to social public dialogue in order to create a framework that will orient artificial technology towards a goal that is not destructive for humanity.
Please, repeat the question, please. He didn't understand well.
Translation, I don't hear translation, that's why.
What is the way we can intervene in the processes of technology which were presenting previously? Have we any chance to influence the processes and the outcomes of the process which is going on without us? There is a technological process which is going on without us. Can we do something to intervene so that to make more human that process? That's my question. Thank you.
If I understand your question right, you are asking about how to make technological progress or processes more human, right? Okay. Well, it is my belief that we humans, we are still those agents who can control technologies. We are creators of them. But at the same time, we have to understand that we are influenced by the technological thinking. And we have to understand that it is very seductive, you know, that kind of thinking, I mean, because it promises us that we are able to become almost divinity beings, you know. But at the same time, it is my belief that we have to understand very clear that we create technologies and they are limited too. They are limited as we are, because we are limited as human beings. So this attempts by technology that it can give us a future of gods is only a lure. It is a real promise. And if you ask how to make this process more human, right? I can say that it is human. it is us who control this process. It is human already, but we have to be very, very careful about what we are doing and how it changes our thinking about ourselves and about the world. It makes sense to you? Okay? Thanks.
Thank you all for very interesting contributions to this discussion. Because it is a discussion, so my question is, the word hubris is transgressing the limits. So do the two speakers believe that the current state is hubristic? What is your opinion? I mean, are you somehow afraid or concerned, or you just delineate what is the situation?
It's addressed to both of you.
Thank you so much for your question. Personally, I believe that we need to look at the social consequences and political consequences. How does this affect our democracy? How do we give powers to algorithms, and people and the society lose their confidence? I believe there is a social dimension, and I repeat that it has to do with participation in those technologies. Who will be able to buy those technologies? Neuralink is not something of the future, it's a reality. It exists right now. It has created implants. Who can buy them? Genetics. Who will have access to those technologies? To whom will it be available? So the issue is not whether we will have strange relationships with robots and artificial intelligence. We might have strange relationships between people, several ranks of society, some people who become superhumans and others who do not have this possibility. So yes, personally, I believe that we need to have a description first to understand the movements, to understand what they're trying to do, their starting points, in order to go further beyond that to morality, ethics, in order to avoid destructive consequences. Thank you.
The transhumanist project, in its essence, is a hubristic project, because this project does not respect limits. Ancient cultures, they were agonistic cultures, but they did respect the boundaries. They tried to say that human must strive for perfection, but they do not claim that it is possible for the human to reach the perfection. And in my opinion, actually, I believe that we must see possibilities within our limits, because we have to understand that it is precisely our limits which can be understood as a part of divine plan to comprehend this world through these limits and to organize our lives according to these limits. Because this understanding that we are finite beings, it enables us to behave accordingly, to be humble, for example, to be humble to each other, to have empathy to each other, to behave, let's say, nice to each other, because of understanding that we are limited beings, we are damageable beings, and we are not omnipotent and omniscient gods. So I think that transhumanism tries to eliminate this comprehension of ourselves and our world. It is, in my opinion, it is really dangerous project because, first of all, it is anti-hubris project. You know, that's why.
Yes, please.
Yes. The question is the following. Actually, it's a thinking and a question. I don't think that anybody is against transformation. I don't think that anybody is against change. Change has always been a development within the human reality from the beginning of the world till now. So we are talking about new terms like humanism, transhumanism, posthumanism, which is okay because it's part of our change. And from what I understood, nobody is against that change. The thing is, the question is living in God or living without God. So the problem is living eternally or being definite and have an end, or living indefinitely in God. So it's not about a matter of dying or not, but what kind of life you live. And correct if I am wrong, but the problem of humanity is exactly this, that we have not yet understood what does it mean to live in God and through God. And if you live in God, whatever change comes, it's okay, because it is within Him. But whatever happens without God, with the absence of God, then whatever change comes, we put ourselves as the center, and this is what makes the problem in the world. Thank you.
Is there any question in your statements, or I didn't understand properly?
I think that the project of transhumanism actually is grounded on the main idea, an idealistic idea, that there is no God. We are homo deus, according to some of them. We are gods. And it is really intimately related with the previous question about hubris, right? And yes, it is a good question. What is the relation, our relation with God? But my answer that transhumanism project eliminates this question, or tries to eliminate this question, because it is we humans who must become God. The homo deus idea, as I mentioned.
I think I saw one more raised hand. Is there anybody? Yes, behind. Gentlemen, please.
Σχετικά με την πρώτη ερώτηση.
For the first question, how we can intervene, I would like to add something. We have a professor in Athens in the School of Theology. His name is Alexandros. He's IT professor, and he specializes, apart from what he does as a professor, is to construct cyborgs. He said that artificial intelligence is not uncontrolled only on a governmental level, but we have many committees in the United Nations and everywhere. They discuss those issues and try to mitigate the negative effects of these developments on society. So, one of the values of this conference is to create the framework, the limits we will need to have to control those uncontrolled applications, these new challenges, so that we can use them to the benefit of our societies.
Which of you would like to comment?
Η αλήθεια δεν κατάλαβα αν είναι ερώτηση.
Well, I didn't understand if this was a question or a remark. No, it was an addition to what we said before.
I think we have to conclude somehow. I really loved being moderating this session, and I'd like to quote one of the quotations which was made by Dimitrios Ikonomou, a former friend of mine and teacher of University of Oxford. Now he's a retired person, but he dedicated also his life to ecology and the Orthodox perspective on ecology. And he said that everything that is done in this world is good as long as God accepts it. If God didn't want it to happen, it wouldn't happen. But we have to be equally aware of what we are doing and what God allows us to do. And that's using properly our freedom. Second remark will be that I thank very much Mr. Mark Ruch for bringing into discussion the problem of finitude and mortality, because actually this is the big problem of mortality. There is maybe most of you heard about Noah Yuval Harari, who wrote the 3 books at least up to now, and he's still writing. But Homo Deus is one of the very famous one. And at least in the Romanian tradition, they make a strict distinction between immortality and immortality. Up to now, nobody spoke about immortality. I am going to say something in my presentation later this afternoon, because one cannot be immortal because you can drown, or a truck can drive over and you die. Even if you, with the instruments of transhumanism and technology, you are meant to live 200 years. But about immortality is only Christianity which speaks about immortality, and I have a quotation for that: the very service of funeral. When we take somebody to burial, there is a quotation from the Bible saying, "You are happy, soul, because now you are moving from death to life." In our mind, actually, it's the other way around. We believe he was lived or she was living and now moves to death, to non-existence. But actually the text is saying, because the moment we are born, that moment we start dying. And it is only our service telling exactly who we are and where we are going. What is the destination? Not destiny, but destination. So I am moving from this state of dying, of mortality, into immortality, which is actually the gift, the most precious gift that God gave humanity. And of course, I do agree, Alexandros, that indeed, in the future, the big challenge one of the big challenges of the transhumanist thinking is also the separation and the bigger and bigger gap that is going to happen between the rich and the poor. Those who have access to means and those who have to get more and more and more, because greed is always larger than need, and those who can be exploited or can be even abused just in the name that I want to live longer than you. So I think that is very optimistic what you said, and because you belong to another generation, the younger generation, and probably they are the ones that probably will know exactly what we are to do, and they see in a more optimistic way the future or the way ahead. At least up to 2033, there are 2 moments ahead which are very important for us Christians. 2033, when we celebrate the 2,000 years from the resurrection of Christ, and I would like to be there to see how the church looks like then. And maybe 2050, because none of the transhumanists did any statement about what is happening after 2050. This is what at least we can preview up from now on. So we'll see, but thank you very much, and give them a round of applause. Thank you.